However, in this moment Hakai told Takemichi about his secret, and this secret is that Yuzuha is actually the person who has been protecting Hakai for this whole time. And then we got to see this flashback about what really happened, and we saw that Taiju was telling Yuzuha that she will have to take twice the amount of beatings. And Hakai said that he lied about him protecting Yuzuha, and Yuzuha is the one who has been protecting him for this whole time. And in this moment we got to see a backstory of Yuzuha, and Yuzuha was protecting Hakai from Taiju. And Yuzuha was crying, and she asked Taiju why he broke his promise about hitting Hakai. And then we saw that Taiju said that Yuzuha is just making excuses. And then Taiju started dragging Yuzuha and Hakai, and he was getting ready to beat them up. Anyway guys, this is where chapter 102 ends, and chapter 103 begins with showing us the backstory of Yuzuha Shiba, and we see that she is sitting in the hospital with her mother. And her mother asked Yuzuha if she likes her father. And Yuzuha responded to this by saying that she doesn't know because she almost never talks to him because he is almost never home. And her mother apologized to Yuzuha, and then she said that she will protect Yuzuha. And Yuzuha just replied to this by telling her mother not to worry about it. And Yuzuha was narrating this backstory, and she said that her mother died very soon after this moment. And we get to see a scene of Yuzuha sitting at her mother's grave, and Yuzuha was talking to her mother. And then we saw that Yuzuha promised her mother that she would protect their family. And in this next scene we see that Yuzuha started breaking down into tears, and in this moment Yuzuha asked her mother if she will please hug her again someday. And then Yuzuha told us that after the death of their mother, Taiju started beating them every single day. And in this backstory we saw that Yuzuha was protecting Hakai from Taiju, and Yuzuha was taking twice the amount of beatings so that she could protect Hakai, and she took the beatings for him. And Taiju was telling Yuzuha that he is going to beat her up. And Yuzuha was on her knees begging Taiju to let her take the beatings for Hakai, and the fact that Yuzuha is on her knees is showing us that even as a child she was so mature that she was willing to humiliate herself in order to protect her family. And this also shows us how serious Yuzuha takes the promise that she made to her mother, and this also shows us that she stays true to her word. And in this moment Yuzuha thought to herself that for all those years she protected Hakai all by herself. And then we see that the backstory skipped to many years later, and this part of the chapter was showing us that Yuzuha is a teenager, and this time Skip was showing us that Yuzuha was protecting Hakai for all these years, and she was carrying this burden all by herself. And Yuzuha said that this is the reason why she instantly took the chance that Kisaki gave to her. And we get to see the scene of Yuzuha taking the knife, and she thought that she had to do it all by herself. And in this moment Yuzuha thought about her flashback where she was crying, and she was promising Hakai that she would protect him in their mother's place. And then the episode shows us that Hakai declared that he is going to protect Yuzuha even if it is the very last thing that he does. And in this moment we saw that Yuzuha reacted to this by starting to cry. And in this scene we saw that the spirit of Yuzuha's mother suddenly appeared behind Yuzuha, and in this moment she was hugging Yuzuha from behind. And the reason why this was such an emotional moment for Yuzuha's character is because this was the very first time in her whole entire life that Yuzuha was not all alone with carrying the burden of trying to protect her family, and this was the very first time that someone offered her a helping hand, and we can really tell how much this gesture meant to her character. And in this episode the author was using Yuzuha's character to explore the theme of loneliness, and in this moment the burden of loneliness was finally lifted off of Yuzuha's shoulders. And in this moment Yuzuha said thank you to everyone. Anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, and want to see more like it, then like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.